Time to talk sex and dating in the time of COVID-19 and the anxiety and isolation the pandemic can bring. With months of lockdown orders and limited travel, there's been even more attention on safety as people try to navigate dating and intimacy. And the mental health risk of being stuck at home, self-quarantining, or isolating during this pandemic. Joining me now is Dr. Alexis Carrington from our ABC News Medical Unit and Matt Dempsey, a psychotherapist and multicultural counselor. Welcome to you both. Dr. Carrington, I'll start with you. You just published an abcnews.com article on what some are calling eyebrow-raising recommendations by the New York City Health Department on safe sex during COVID-19. One of the guidelines, using protection, now may include wearing a face mask. Tell us more about this report.
Of course. So the New York City Department of Health gives recommendations on how to practice safe sex during this pandemic. Some of the recommendations they have are minimizing the number of sexual partners that you have, especially to people who are already in your close circle, such as those who are living in your household already. And the Department of Health also recommends trying to wear a face mask when kissing someone who is not in that usual circle. That would include when having a one-night stand. So these recommendations are on top of all other things, such as wearing condoms when practicing safe sex.
All right, and jumping off from that point made by Dr. Carrington there, keeping that in mind, Matt, what effects does social distancing really have on relationships right now in terms of mental health, and what should people keep in mind and look out for?
Yeah, I mean, woo, what a doozy, right? What a time to be alive. The social distancing, I mean, listen, it's a part of human nature. We're meant to connect and feel safe through those relationships. It's just kind of like a tribal mentality for us. So even though rationally we know for kind of our collective physical health and well-being, we need to stay distant from other people, it's still going to have an emotional impact on us. You know, it can what make us feel a little bit more down, a little bit more anxious, can make us feel a little bit more insecure. And a lot of irrational thoughts can come to the surface, you know, when we're questioning our worth and if we're going to be okay, that kind of stuff. And we also just kind of don't live in a culture that helps us understand those irrational thoughts and know how to name those feelings for us, so we can kind of get defensive and maybe we push people away, we isolate a bit more, and that only continues to promote a lot of that negative and irrational thinking for us and make us feel just kind of a bit more crazed. And so the things that we want to look out for are, how much are we doing that? How much are we isolating? How much are we pushing other people away? And just fatigue and irritability in general. If you're feeling tired, feel like you want to bite somebody's head off, that's a good sign that you're feeling what we're all kind of collectively feeling, this fear of the unknown. So to normalize it and, you know, just be able to use that as a checkpoint for us.
Dr. Carrington, Matt just said it. Look, there's a lot going on right now, a lot for people to think about. We should ask, how concerned should people be, or what should they take into account when it comes to the transmission of COVID-19 through sex and PDA?
So the transmission of COVID through having sex has not been proven yet, and research is still needed to prove that. But exchanging saliva, such as with kissing, can transmit the virus. So to be safe, the health department recommends wearing a mask, especially if kissing someone that you don't know. Like we said, someone who's not in your tight circle.
Okay, so you mean kissing through the mask, like actually keeping the mask on?
So it is a very weird, it seems like a weird recommendation, but ideally they recommend it's best not to avoid doing it itself. But yes, maintaining the mask is what they recommend.
So Matt, as a psychologist, what are you hearing when it comes to this pandemic, biggest struggles and personal hurdles?
Just feeling disconnected and the pain that comes from that. I mean, just how painful it can be to not have those human connections, and also just feeling tapped, like we just don't have the energy to do the things that we would normally want to do and be able to just kind of maintain status quo throughout our lives. You know, the parts of our brains that are used for survival, which is what's getting activated right now more than ever, is beneath the level of consciousness. So we're not aware of how much energy we're actually expending at just trying to maintain an equilibrium. And so we're feeling exhausted, not even entirely sure why, and it's impacting our everyday responsibilities and personal relationships. And those have been some of the most problematic issues that people have been dealing with.
Okay, so speaking of survival, when it comes to relationships, what's your advice for keeping the peace?
My advice for keeping the peace is just making sure that you're doing your own internal work first. Like, let's actually use this as an opportunity for us to kind of reframe things. This is an opportunity for us. It sucks, but it is a chance for us to get still, to turn inward. In a world that constantly rewards us for hustling and trying to, get the next achievement, this is a chance for us to actually be able to find some peace and acceptance within us, not having to search without us. So really doubling down on self-care. I do like a 10-minute meditation on a meditation app every day. I sit down, I write in my gratitude journal to promote abundance consciousness so I feel like my life is whole and that I'll be okay. And then I also just, have really a lot of patience and compassion for myself to let myself move through this and then also be vulnerable. We have to be willing to open up. We have to be willing to name some of the uncomfortable feelings that we have and share that with other people so we can connect through those feelings, not as if that needs to be something divisive or something that we need to hide and run away from others because of.
Self-care is important, and also from those New York City Health Department guidelines when it comes to sex during COVID-19, they say you are your safest sex partner. So keep that in mind as well. Thank you both, Mr. Dempsey, Dr. Carrington. We appreciate you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.